good afternoon, everyone, depending on where you're at. Welcome to another live session hosted by the AI Interest Group. Today, we are very happy to have our presenter, Aaron Phelps, join us. He is the marketing director for the Norco SBDC. He's an active member of our AI Interest Group as well. He has some very cool tools that they've developed in California to share with us today. He'll also share those also at the annual training event, so keep an eye for that if you're coming to Atlanta. But today our focus will be a Claude demo. He'll walk us through some of those tools, and then we'll have time for live Q&A. So Aaron will take it away, and then we'll at the end cover your questions. You can either put those on the chat, or when we open for questions, you can open your mics and let us know. As usual, if you're missing this session because you have to leave early or you want to share it with others, we'll have it uploaded onto our live session page on our learning management system by the end of the week, so you can revisit it. Okay? Thank you so much. Aaron, take it away.
Yeah, thank you, Diana, and welcome and good morning, everyone. My name is Aaron Phelps, and I'm the Marketing and Technology Director at Northern California. And today we're going to take a look at Claude, which is very similar to ChatGPT, but I think it's a little bit better. And I'm hoping to make the case for why, and then show how you guys can use it as well to make your lives hopefully a little bit easier. By the end of this call, I'm going to share we're going to walk through a tour of Claude. So I'm going to move into the actual tool that I have on my desktop and show those who haven't used it yet, kind of like just the general layout, some of the features and the environmental settings. And then we're going to look at some projects that I've created for our network. And then we're going to look at a special tool that I'm using to support our network's trainings, promoting our trainings with videos. And so I have a link to download that tool too at the end of this call. Everyone will get a copy of that HTML file, which is just going to open up in your browser, and you can create training videos in your browser for your network. Okay, let's jump in. So today, like I said, we're going to walk through what Claude is, using it in the desktop or your browser. And then we're going to look at the tool itself, the desktop application, and then how I use Claude. And I thought this was a good icebreaker slide because the speed of AI is insane. These are a bunch of clips that I took from YouTube thumbnails, and everybody uses the same keyword. It's insane. But it is easy to be intimidated, I think, and distracted by just how much noise there is in the constant evolution of these AI tools, crowding the headlines. And there is a lot happening for sure. But I think if we stay focused, like the real secret to becoming good at AI is just staying curious. And it's just kind of like exploring, experimenting. When you find something that you really like, you just keep working with it, iterating. And I'm speaking more so from like a builder's perspective. A lot of the way I use AI is like building tools and building systems to manage different processes. So everybody has kind of their own angle, I think, working with AI, but I do think it's important to remember that everybody's learning this all at the same time together, and just staying curious is going to take you pretty far. So Claude, I really like Claude. I've been using Claude for, I don't know, basically since AI kind of came online. I really like the way it writes. I like the user experience of Claude. I think that's one of the differentiators versus like ChatGPT, which is kind of the Swiss Army knife. It's like just Claude is, I think, the enterprise LLM. So it's like geared towards higher quality work out of the gate. Claude writes like a person. It's a little bit less robotic. One thing I really like about Claude is it's built on something called a constitutional AI, which is just a set of principles around being honest, harmless, and helpful. Claude also plugs into your actual files and does a lot of building, like a lot of work. And we're going to look at Claude projects, Claude code, and co-work here in just a bit. But these outputs, create systems that augment or offset some of your workflows to give you more time to do other things. The Claude ecosystem, there's Claude Chat, just like we have GPT chat and Gemini has a chat. But the power tools here are Claude Code, Claude Cowork, and Claude Design. In Claude Code, I mean, you could build some pretty fantastic tools. Like I built some pretty interesting platforms using Claude Code, starting out as a vibe coder and kind of learning as I go. Cowork is awesome. It's featured in the desktop app. I think they did just recently include it somehow in the cloud. Right here, I'm going to add another disclaimer. I'm not coming here as an expert in Claude. I'm just somebody that has been using it for a while, and I'm just sharing a little bit about how I'm using it and what I know about it, and hopefully highlighting some benefits to our network. But Claude Cowork and Claude Design is another tool. They're similar to Canva, but Claude Design and Claude Code integrate so nicely. So you can design something in Claude Code and then build it, Claude Design, and then build it in Claude Code. So your like time to deploying something is, near real time, where I can come up with an idea. Maybe it's in Claude Cowork, come up with an idea for like invoice tracker. And then I want to design like an interface for it. So I go to Claude Design and I take my idea to Claude Design and get like a sketch of it, like a wireframe, and then I take it over to Claude Code and I build it out. So we'll look at how some of that works here in just a bit. So Claude, let's just open up my desktop app. I think that's the next step here. I'm going to share a different screen. Okay. So this is Claude Desktop. I'm just going to walk through and I'll try to narrate what I'm doing here too, because I know can be kind of small on different people's screens. But on the left, we have kind of all of our main navigation for how we're going to use different settings in Claude. They recently integrated Claude Chat and Cowork kind of into the same window. And then Claude Code is a separate thing. These are recent Claude Code sessions that I have. And then I've integrated what's called GitHub. For those of you who aren't familiar, GitHub's just like a code repository. You just upload code and then you can deploy it to different places. But it's kind of like a Google Drive for code projects. And then this lets me work on my code projects that are live on the internet here in my, on my desktop computer without ever logging into any complicated code software. I just handle everything through Claude Code. Okay, so let me go back to home. What I have here, I have a project open, and projects are basically folders inside of Claude that give you Claude context to what you're working on. And so Tech Futures Group is a program of the Northern California SBDC network, and they do like VC-backed venture capital and high-scale technology advising. And I do a lot of braid work for them. And what I have here is just different projects. You can call them artifacts that I've built with Claude. And then these become future context for like the brand style and the voice and like the program offering that I use to build other things like web pages and emails and workshop promotions. But this just gives you a quick example of some of the things I built with inside of Claude. This is a little pattern maker for slides, like slide backgrounds. It's kind of cool. So projects is a great way to organize your work. You can see outside of Tech Futures Group, Cal Poly Humboldt, which manages the NorCal SBDC program, they have a really technical and arduous process of like purchasing software. And there's a workflow called ITAR, and I don't know exactly what ITAR. It's a pretty common process for purchasing software, but it's a very tedious workflow. And so I took the different steps that I need to fill out this like 30 section form. And then I have this ITAR project helps me create all the different inputs I need to do my software purchases by I can just type in like, think of a software that I want to do. Let's do midjourney.ai. this should just start generating the different inputs for the field that I need to complete my software acquisition process. So it's going to check midjourney.ai. Here, searching the web is going to find Midjourney, and it's going to start producing context about Midjourney so that I can start filling out my form and then complete my software acquisition. Okay. So this is going to run through and give me all the different steps of how to complete the software purchase from Cal Poly Humboldt's P2P system, which is a procurement system. I'll basically just copy and paste these different form fields and then add them into my cart process. And it just saves probably an hour's worth of time to run that through a Claude project. Okay, so let's go back to home. So we looked a little bit at projects. I'm doing a lot of brand work. So I have a project for branding. I'm building a new website for NorCal. So I've got a project for that. And then artifacts are things like you can basically save your files, the interactive files that Claude will create for you, called artifacts. So you can actually share these artifacts and get other people's input on them. I'm going to share a couple of them here. So social post house. Okay. Yeah. So a lot of what I'm doing is I'm trying to build workflows that automate a lot of our training promotion. And that's one of the things we're going to look at today in detail. But this is an example of, what is this? Okay, so I think this is for SBDC Day, where we had like a series of different social media promotions that we wanted to share. Go back to projects, see what else is here. Okay, projects, artifacts, scheduled. In scheduling, you can basically give yourself reminders, give yourself a reminder to remember to check in with this person on your team at 8 a.m. or get ready for a meeting at 9 a.m. on Monday or Tuesday, or basically just set reminders in here. And there's a couple different ways to do that Claude will give you automatically, right? So meeting prep, just puts that. One of the scheduled things I have is getting ready for a weekly meeting with my team. This is just going to set up a task and then add it to my calendar. I don't want to spend too much time here, but you can see how this is working in the background. Let's just see if we can get, okay. It's going to ask me some questions. What time should I get briefed? I'm going to say 7:30. What sources should I pull context from? Let's use Gmail. And then how should the brief be delivered? Let's do HTML. How deep should it go? So this is going to build a standard reminder. It should integrate with my Google Calendar because I have my calendar connected, which is another thing we'll talk about. Connectors. So connectors plug into Claude environment, similar to how like an API works. I don't know if you guys are familiar with an API, but it's just basically a bridge or a walkie-talkie that connects two different types of platforms or technologies. I have quite a few things connected here. So I have our constant contact connected, so I can check performance analytics from our training newsletters. I have Figma, which is a design tool, Zoom, so I can check how many people have attended different training sessions, how many people registered versus attended. Build some pretty cool dashboards this way. And let's see, Higgsfield is an image generator, so I could create my own stock images and brand photography assets. They're AI generated. Gmail, Google Drive. So I have a lot of things connected here. I will say that there is some risk. There's risk and reward here. So I think just being mindful of keeping connectors away from confidential information that may jeopardize the client confidentiality is important. Skills, there's a lot to cover here, but skills, basically the skills are like a script. So a skill, there's my ITAR skill, which is my software purchase request that we looked at briefly. So when I just typed in Midjourney AI, it triggered that skill. And the skill was then running that the script essentially that says, okay, now let's take Midjourney AI, let's research the context for what that software purchase might be for Aaron's SBDC marketing needs, and we'll generate the outputs that he needs to take to the ITAR form. So a skill is basically a script that does some type of output that you design, that you help it design for you. These are just an example of some of the skills that I use. Let's see, success story skills. This will generate a success story. This will interview a client about a success to create a success story. Lots of design work, brand guidelines. What's that? Okay, now I have my task complete here to schedule. So let's schedule that. Okay, so the trigger is going to be weekly at 7 a.m. on which day did I select? A weekday at 7 a.m. It's going to help me do some morning prep. It's going to use this calendar here. This is basically the markdown file or the instruction that Claude has to do the actual work. So it's going to gather context from my email. It's going to write the brief, and then it's going to create an HTML. Okay, we have a little error here. Okay, well, we'll come back to this. Let's take a look at some other things here. This out. Go back to my slides here. Slides. Projects, connectors, skills, design. We'll take a look at Claude design too in just a moment. But we did look at projects. Okay, artifacts. We looked at artifacts. How I use Claude. I think this is where things might get a little bit more interesting, because actual examples of, tools and projects that I've used with Claude to help the SBDC network do bold work. Let's go over to here. Okay. So one of the things I'm going to share today as a downloadable HTML file is a copy of this motion graphics engine. Oops, where'd I go? So we can watch this video. There's just a motion graphics video, a clip of a training promotion, and it's 1080 by 1080 for Instagram. It has a special URL, sbdc.events, which is like a short link. So it fits nicely into my video frame. And so this tool is basically pulling events from our website, from NorCal's website. And then it's going to create a training card, a series of motion graphics that highlight the different opportunities or the offering of that event to clients. And then we download it and we upload it to Instagram. So let's see. Here's how we download it. And then this comes with a blur for posting to social media also. So this is a new workflow for our marketing team to quickly deploy interactive media to social media to market our events. And that's a tool we're going to look at customizing today. And then I'm going to make sure everybody has a copy of that file as well. So you can also deploy it if you want to create a similar process for your network. So let me find where that's at. Over to Claude design. And let's see. I'm going to show you real quickly Claude design, how this tool was created so that we can customize it. Claude design, like I said, it's similar to Canva. You can create a lot of custom graphics and build design systems. And design systems are basically like a brand system. And so this is the one I've created for Northern California. And let's kind of cruise through this real quickly. Okay, so we're going to be launching a new website this year. And this is kind of the design language that we're going to deploy into the new website. You can see our image treatments, our partners logos, our color style here, content layouts, how we treat pack numbers, different button styles. Okay, and then I have some onboarding emails previewed here. Really, this design system is the full A to Z for how we do online communication. from emails to websites to rack cards, collateral, success stories. Building a design system in Claude Design lets me deploy rapid prototypes of new collateral or new emails, and everything's going to be on brand consistently. So here's an example of an event reminder email. And in Claude Design, I can customize this further. I can leave feedback that says, hey, I'd rather have like a red banner back here, make the number, larger. Or we can go in to edit the actual email and then chat with it here if we really want to spend more time developing that. Okay, so design systems. I have a lot of design systems in here for the SBDC. And like I said, the Tech Futures Group is another subgroup of NorCal SBDC. This is the brand system that I've developed to create content, collateral, and web assets for Tech Futures Group. All of this is done with Claude. So the button styles, all the interactions, the hover styles, and I use this to create a brand platform for Tech Futures Group so that the advisors can have access to a lot of these different assets like workshop promotions and event promotion, etc. Let's see here. Design systems. I want to find the video tool. This might work. So I was kind of workshopping the idea of taking this video tool we just looked at, which is here. And I wanted to say, hey, let's use a different network and but customize the tool that I just shared earlier, the NorCal video tool. And let's create something that's tuned for Georgia SBDC. And so I gave the Georgia SBDC I gave Claude the link to the Georgia SBDC website, and then I uploaded my file, my HTML file. And this is what it came back with. This is the design style for the Georgia SBDC training promotion video tool. And let's see here. So let's go into edit press. And this will show us, okay. Sorry, fumbling around a little bit here. Let's see, design system. Okay, well, this is going to give us a preview of what the video tool will look like when we output our video. The save the date cards, the training details, headlines, typography. Yeah, so here we go. This is what I'm looking for. So this is the promo studio. We should be able to download this. Let's share and then download. Okay. I don't know if everyone can see this, but I'm exporting the HTML here. And then once I download this, we should be able to see it work live in our browser. And what this tool is going to do is we can edit these individual cards, and then we click this export MP4, and then we have a video that we can upload to social media. There we go. Okay. I think everyone can see yeah, this is showing good. So let's take a look at how this works. Well, that's not actually working how I thought it would. So let me go over to, this is the demo file that I thought we'd be looking at. So we can, let's see, rewind nice. I'm going to scroll through this timeline and you can see how it's going to create different slides. Okay. So that's what a 3 slide. Yeah. So in here, we can edit the title. So we're going to say event name. Okay. We can change the duration. We can change the position. And then we go to the next slide and give it some details about the time and location. And we should be able to change the colors here. It's a pretty interactive tool set here. And then we export MP4. And then now we have the file we can upload to social media. I've taken this tool and I integrated it into my Claude I've integrated it into my Claude code so I can basically prompt from Claude and then generate these videos without ever going into the tool. but that might be too much for today. So I want to look at a couple of things. We had a survey go out. Diana helped me get a survey for people's interests in what they'd like to cover today. So I did want to give some basics of the Claude tool set or the suite, the Claude code, design, co-work, and then chat. But then I also wanted to show some more practical use cases. I think this one's fun because you can create, interesting media for promoting your events. But this one here, this is a session note generator. So this will import session notes from a client's advising session directly into our CRM. And Northern California uses Neosera as a CRM. So and this is just a test platform, by the way. This is not like a live tool, but I do want to showcase how this works. I have a test business here under this email account. So this is going to search using our API with Neosera. We searched and found my client record. And now I'm going to enter in a couple details here for the session notes. This was a marketing plan review that happened today. It was 60 minutes, 15 minutes of prep time. This was a follow-up. We did it in Zoom, so video conference, counseling area. Let's call it social media. Funding source. This was SBA funding. One person. Okay. So I'm going to use a sample client session transcript that I generated before this meeting. I'm going to show how we're going to take this transcript from Zoom and we're going to parse it and map it into where these session notes need to go into the different fields within our Neosera CRM. So let's format with AI. Now in the back end, Claude is taking this transcript and it's mapping the parts of this conversation to like where they need to go in the session notes. So let's give this just a moment and growth. A lot of times in these live demos, things just fall apart. I think this is going to work. Feel good about it. Here we go. So description of what occurred. It's kind of bulky. I actually might want to trim this down a little bit, but we could do that here. I've got an edit button so I can edit these inputs. I think it would be important, obviously, to review and make sure this is factually accurate before we upload it to Neosera. But based on my transcript, these are the 4 parts that it compiled for me. It's a description of what happened, analysis, actions taken, and follow-up. I'm going to submit this to Neosera. Before I do, I have my test account here, Basics Unlimited. This is the email that I use for our session note summary API test. So we should see a new session appear here in just a moment. So let's go back to here and submit to Neosera. Okay, the session saved. Let's see if that actually worked. Okay, give it just a moment and I'm going to refresh. It's a little bit slow sometimes. Here we go. There's the follow-up I just created. Let's click into it. You can see that's quite a bit of context for that session. That's exactly what I uploaded. So this is the workflow. This is an example of a session note workflow that I think may be useful to others who use Neosera. I wanted to show another workflow here. So the milestone submission attribution form where you're collecting economic impact from clients. We're going to do the same thing. We're going to use Claude to help move economic impact from this screen into Neosera. We're not going to log into Neosera and manually enter anything. We're going to try to make this as simple as possible. So put my name in here. This is the name of the client. API test at norcalsbdc.org. DC. And phone number and continue. Here's my account, Basics Unlimited. Excellent. Basics Unlimited increased sales and they hired new employees. Okay, go to the next screen. The employees that they hired were, let's just say they hired 4 new employees. This is full-time, this is part-time. We're going to say 0 part-time. Okay. Continue. Last year's revenues, I'm just going to say 599, almost 600. Okay. This is the attestation where the client describes how SBDC helped their business. So I'm just going to say SBDC was a game changer. We achieved record sales. Clean that up a little bit. Okay, and then type in my name as the client. Oops. There we go. Almost. Now I'm going to go back over to my client record and we should see a new milestone. So click back over to Basics Unlimited. And there we go. Increase in sales, 599,000. These I think are probably some of my favorite projects that I work with Claude on, is to create workflows that take advisors out of Neosera so they don't have to just manually click around in here, and it saves quite a bit of time. But you can see that these records were created from a custom front end, and we're using Claude to do a lot of the routing in this process. There's a lot of other tools similar to this. The 2 workflows I just showed, the milestones and the session notes, also have the 641 form, the sign-up form, running through this API process. But this lets us do completely customized workflows and user experience for the clients. Okay, so this is the tool, the video tool that I created for our network. It's a better example of the one I showed earlier, but because this is more dialed in, I spent a bit more time tuning this. I can add music tracks. We're going to add 11 Labs is a voice synthesis tool. So it copies your voice, it clones your voice, your human voice, and then you can basically give it a transcript. So I could give a transcript in here to read this out in someone from our network's voice. But a lot of the other just built-in features are, let's see, changing the style around essentially. And then I can add, a title card here. I got some cards that are just built in. So if I wanted to add a stat card, I can change a lot of these things around. Can change the way it animates. Okay. And then when we're all said and done here, I can export the MP4. And then it's going to download it for me. And then our social media team is going to upload that. One of my plans for this tool is to create basically a social media handoff. So we'll just say, send it to Instagram or send it to Facebook. And then it'll go to a check stage where if someone signs off on it or leaves comments for further editing. But this tool will save us a lot of time, and we'll have better promotion materials by using a video creator tool instead of just throwing up a copy of the PDF that we typically do on social media. It's an experiment for us. But what else? Okay. Like I said, this tool, this HTML file called Promo Studio, what I did with the Georgia network was I uploaded the promo tool, which I'm going to do here real quick. And then we're probably going to wrap up a lot of this demo. Promo Studio. So I'm uploading that into Claude here, attaching the file. Make sure that connected. There we go. It's in there. Claude also recently changed the interface for design, but that's okay. Yeah. Go into the details there. So the promo tool I just shared here, I'm going to, quickly showcase how we can tailor this for our brand. Let's optimize this HTML file using the Fave design system. Okay. And this will take that HTML file that I just shared right here, these bare bones, and it's going to create a version of that that's fully tuned to our brand. And so that's generally how I think if you wanted to use this tool, and use Claude to design something custom for you, you'll follow these exact same steps. You'll just upload the HTML into Claude Design just as an attachment, and then to give it some instructions. Hey, our network is Arkansas SBDC or Alaska SBDC. Help us create a brand system that we can use to create training videos. And it could be as simple as that. And then you'll see what it creates, see how it generates the output. And then you can iterate on top of that and create something that fits your network nicely. This might take a few minutes. Typically these projects, like a design project at this scale would take probably 10 or 15 minutes to get something to look at. Maybe by the end of this call, we'll come back and see what it comes up with. So, all right. Well, we looked at my tools. We looked at some of the workflows we do. This Motion Pro tool is one we just looked at. It's the video creator. We looked at doing some session notes, the milestones. There's a couple other tools in here we didn't get into, but I do want to save some time here for questions. I also just want to point out one closing thought, one important note. You can't really break Claude or AI, but you can break trust. So we have to keep confidential information out of chats. Just a really important foundation to keep at the forefront of all the work the SBDC does with AI. This is a link to the tool that I'll share afterwards with a little bit of instructions of how to customize it for your network. Or maybe I'll create a quick video screen share. With another bit of using Claude is it can create amazing videos. Claude Design will create amazing videos. I don't have one ready to share, but I created a video yesterday just by taking a design system and then saying, create an animated video showing how to use the tool. So it's extremely powerful. Claude Design and Claude in general is an extremely powerful tool. And we are starting to get some of that promo studio that I just uploaded in the Claude Design here. And this is our brand style. We have this light blue and a navy with the red stripe. So yeah, I think that'll probably conclude my demo here. I know there's covered a lot of ground, but hopefully that gives you a little hint on some of the Claude ecosystem and some of the cool tools you can build with it. Thank you all for joining me on this Tuesday morning, and I will probably pause here and take any questions. Glad to answer any questions that I can.
Thank you. And we do have a couple on the chat. Josh asked, did you have to pay for an additional API for Claude to interface with Neosera? And if so, what is it and the cost?
Yeah, well, good question. The Neosera API is totally separate. This was we developed this API with Outreach Systems back in 2021, and we've been leveraging it for all sorts of different use cases with our network. But it's totally separate from Claude. It is something that we've integrated with Claude, but first you need to talk to Neosera and say, can we get a license to that API? Because we really would like to make use of it. And I'd be happy to partner or help join that conversation, make an introduction to the outreach team, and make that happen for you guys if you're interested in doing that.
Thank you. I see some hands raised. Austin Fisher, you had your hand raised. If you want to open your mic to ask your question.
Hey, Aaron, Oregon SBDC. I'm the IT specialist and data analyst, and we're, probably just like everyone on their AI journey or start or in the middle of it. And like you said, confidentiality is one of the biggest things that I'm sure everyone is worried about. And as you're going through your presentation, I noticed your connectors and all of that. Are you worried about connecting? The one I saw was your Gmail, because ultimately that gives access to your entire email. And I'm sure that's safe for some people, safe for others, as well as when you're looking at your API with the session note. Are you guys using the session notes already?
Not the session notes. No, we're not
Okay.
using session notes. Yeah. We have a separate tool we're going to be using that integrates a lot of these different connected pieces, all an integrated solution. That's not live online yet, but that's something we'll be sharing at ASBDC.
Okay. And are you worried about Claude having access to your email or anything like that?
I don't work with advice. I don't work as an advisor. So I'm not working with sensitive client information, but I do think that's the risk reward that I talked about, and keeping front of mind, keeping confidential information away from Claude or any LLM is important.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. Benjamin, you had your hand raised?
Yes, thank you so much, Diana. Thank you so much, Aaron, for the wonderful presentation. And my question is
pleasure.
concerning connectors. As you mentioned, scheduling. Is it possible to connect a different environment, like connect an Outlook calendar instead of a Google Calendar?
Yeah, there's a giant library of connectors. Let's see. Yeah. I could probably connect with you after this, Benjamin, and I'll just show you like a screenshot of, we can walk through different ways to set up connectors, because you can connect to almost anything. Claude's basically becoming a Zapier tool, where you could just connect any tool.
All right.
So
And
I think there's a lot of options.
I have a follow-up question. What would be the main advantage of using Claude Design over Canvas? Is there a real big difference?
Yeah, that's a good question. For me, it's just the user experience, because I'm building out a lot of tools. So I'm using it more of like a front end designer.
Yes.
And to be honest, I don't know if Canva has those features where you can take a Canva design and then deploy it into code. But Claude has that just integrated system where you can you can chat with your design and say, give me a handoff file that I can paste into Claude code to build this now. And I think that's a pretty fantastic feature.
Thank you.
So for me, from the way I'm using Claude to build web apps and do email design, and I think Claude design, I prefer that much more over Canva.
Right. Thank you so much.
Thank you. And Aniruddha, you have your hand raised?
Yes. Hi, Aaron. Thank you for your presentation. My question was actually in line with Austin's question regarding client confidentiality while using Claude and Neosera. If possible, I would like to connect with you and get some more insights from you on that.
Yeah.
And I guess you answered the question while you answered the Austin's question. So right now I'm good, but would definitely like to reach out to you and explore more about the integration, API integration, and how you're using Claude with client confidentiality.
Yeah, I'd be happy to connect, Aniruddha.
Would you be able to share your email address or something?
Yeah.
Okay,
Absolutely.
thanks.
Great. Thank you. Do we have any other questions? Perfect. Well, Aaron will share his information with us as well. You'll have a recording of the session. I know it went over a lot of features. So maybe as you rewatch the recording, you want to know more. I agree with Josh. It was a great presentation. We learned so many of the capabilities that Claude has, and they will be useful for SBDCs. So if you want to reach out to him, he'll put the information on the chat, right, Aaron? And then we'll put that on the recording as well. Did you have anything else to show? Because I know you had something pending loading, Aaron.
Let's just take a quick look at that and see this design system. So yeah, this is basically just the video design system that we looked at customizing in our brand style. And this is what I'll be sharing with everybody after the call as a takeaway. I'll give instructions. I'll provide some basic instructions for here's where you upload the HTML file, and then here's how you can build it out to your branding. And so that could be a tool you deploy and just play around with it. See if you like using Claude Code and Claude Design, and hopefully it's useful for you.
Very, very useful. Thank you so much. Well, thank you for everyone attending, and be sure to share this with others. We'll have the recording available by the end of the week, and join us next month for our next live session. Thank you, everyone. Have a great rest of your day.
Thank you.